Welcome to Behind Life Struggles, episode 7. I'm your host, Nelzy. I would like to welcome my co-host, Links. How you
Yo,
doing?
yo, 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 yo. How are you doing?
Yeah, man. Good, you?
Yeah, I'm good.
And I'd like to welcome my guests, starting with Liz. How you doing?
What's up, people? I'm good. Good to see you all.
And also I'd like to welcome Shayla. Glad to have you back.
Hi, everyone. Pardon? I'm glad to have me back. Hi, I'm back and I'm popping.
She was
where it's
missed.
at.
There was no money conversations going on.
I bet it was boring, didn't it? Because you couldn't take it. I bet you guys are taking all the broke comments.
And last but not least, Lily. Well, I'm glad to see you. This energy's up and you're raring to go. So we're going to kick it off with our current affairs. So I'm going to talk about cancel culture. Now, I'm not sure whether or not you've all read the articles about the baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yes.
I've seen
you all
it.
seen,
I've heard
seen
it.
the comments?
Yeah.
Some of
And
them.
did you all read what he said?
No.
Yeah, I did. I heard what he said. I heard it.
Okay, so this was his comments. If you didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, or any of them deadly sexual transmitted diseases, they will make you die in 2 or 3 weeks. Then put your cell phone lighters up, he said.
Is that bit? Wow.
And they said, fellas, if you ain't sucking D in the parking lot, put your cell phone lighters up. So, since he said that, they've all come for him. He lost lots of sponsorship deals. I even read today where allegedly Kanye removed one of the tracks which had him on it. And everyone's trying to cancel him. So, what's your views on this, Shayla? Do you think he deserves to be cancelled?
Yeah, you can't be making them kind of comments. I feel like people like to come with this whole, even though I'm famous, I shouldn't have this responsibility of, being a role model to people or whatever. But at the end of the day, yeah, you should use your brain. You can't just be talking off your head. Did you think he's untouchable? You have to be talking off your head and saying all these things. I think that as someone that's in the media, he needs to think about what he's saying and make sure what he's saying goes and coincide with what he's doing. He's working with a lot of people that he might not even know that might have all these things that he's saying, or might be gay or home, it might be all of these things that he's saying, and he's out there saying all these things. But yet these people are people that you're in business with, you're working with, you have music. You can't be just talking off your head like that. What's wrong with you? And I feel like there has to be a consequence for that. I'm sorry, but you might feel a certain way about someone, but at the end of the day, keep your opinions to yourself. And if you don't have something valid to back you up behind what you're saying, then why are you saying it? It doesn't even make any sense. Like, you're offending people that you work with, that might be your fans, people that you can't be doing things like that. That's irresponsible. And I feel like he needs to learn a lesson. And the only way he's going to learn a lesson is to see the repercussions of his actions. I'm not saying that he should be completely cancelled, but I feel like what he said was quite harsh. Like, you can't be going around saying things like that. It's a bit wild. Especially when you're saying that can cause you to die in 2 to 3 weeks, and if you're in the parking lot and what is this? You're right.
What made him say it? Do we know? Like, where did it come from?
So he was.
He
was at a show.
He's just hyping up the crowd.
And yeah, exactly. It's just, you know how rappers do it. They just hype the crowd up by saying things to get them, in that vibe. And
the North Londoners.
Exactly.
Basically, that's what he's doing, hyping up the crowd. Like,
yeah, I agree with Shayla. Like you can't say certain things, right? But at the same time, a part of me is like, freedom of speech. If that's how you feel, then say it. Like, I'm in two minds, Like, he shouldn't be saying that stuff about dying in 2 weeks, because it's non-factual, it's nonsensical. Like, but if that's how you truly feel, then don't lie about it. Because I hate when I see people say stuff and I know that's not how they really feel. I hate that we all have to get along and there's this kumbaya. I'm like, no, be honest. Like, I know that's not how you really feel.
Yeah, but I get him being honest if the conversation was about what he's saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was in context. But it's not in context. Where is this coming from? It's unwarranted. It's unwarranted.
That's why I said, why did he say it? Because if he had a conversation and was asked, then I'd be like, all right, that's how he feels. I disagree with him. But with it, I'm like, where did that come from, bro? We're all ethnic minorities here. You know when you're talking to someone, you like jollof rice, and you're like, okay, where did that come from? Like, okay. You know them comments? She must have had them comments. Like where did that come from? I don't know. He should be able to say what he wants, but I agree with Shayla. Time and a place, and there's repercussions to everything you say and do in it. So,
do you agree, Liz?
I definitely agree that consequences exist, and at the end of the day, if you basically are a brand and you want to make money and you want to go far, you have to kind of be a bit clever about how you move, because if we're talking about like communities that can basically really cancel people, because when we say, oh, so and so is cancelled, what are we really doing? Are we stopping them from leaving the house? Are we stopping their music from being streamed? No, not necessarily, you know. But in the sense of like the wider communities, like Black Lives Matter, we're doing, you know, all this campaigning and everything and all of that stuff, but what our stuff keeps happening to our community because the muscles behind it is economic, and we're at a disadvantage in that area. So like we don't really have that group brawn to make people like respect us in the way that they should. It shouldn't be down to the money thing. It shouldn't be down to, you know, well, my community can literally cancel your entire company or whatever like that. But you know, the pink pound and the, you know, I mean, be smart, bro. Nobody was saying anything about those things. You just decided to hype yourself up to the stage where you and it showed like how many things he got cancelled from so many different festivals. I heard, yeah, until he actually had to come back and like someone had to write him an apology. Like it came out, he had to apologize. Well, I wish our community had that same, you know.
But then I see he was backtracking what he said, and then he was just sort of he apologized, and then he sort of like took it back, and then, you know, that's what happened, and then he apologized again, something like that. Like he didn't really want
to proper apologize.
Yeah, he did apologize. Yeah, he kept on going. Yeah, he kept on going back and forth each time, and the public were like, well, if you're not going to apologize and you actually believe in what you said is right, just don't say anything at all. Like, you're just going to keep, because the more you're putting it out there, the more you're going to keep getting cancelled for other things. People are going to see it even more. Like, yeah.
There's one more thing I wanted to say and I forgot. The other thing is that I was just saying our community, like as if there's no Black LGBTQIA plus people. There are, but what I was gonna say is, if we as a whole, you know, as the whole world, condone people saying things that are gonna further basically other people who hate on that group, we've got to be kind of responsible when there's all these kind of hate crimes and killings and stuff like that. Because if you flip it and put it towards, you know, I don't know, misogyny, towards, you know, hatred towards women, if we flip it and put it towards racism, like people saying vile, disgusting, racist stuff with a big enough megaphone, it empowers somebody else to do it. The same way like Trump, when he was saying all this stuff about Mexican rapists, and about everybody else became emboldened because there was this one person that was allowed to talk reckless, and there weren't.
And what happened to Trump?
Well, finally got him out of there.
But he got impeached so many times and then he didn't leave. That was ridiculous, man.
We didn't get him out of there. He carried on and he said whatever he wanted.
No
Do you
one's
really
made
think he's going to get cancelled completely? Like
The
the
baby's
baby?
not getting cancelled completely. He's
I
still
don't
getting cancelled
think
for
so
the
either.
moment.
Okay.
Who, Trump?
So
Oh,
No,
No,
the
no,
baby.
the baby.
okay.
so
Yeah.
on the baby, now I agree that some of his comments, well, a lot of his comments were outlandish, but I don't agree that people should be sort of media trained and politically correct. He's not really saying what he really feels. The fact that he has said this, now at least we know how he really feels. And now this is the great opportunity to re-educate him. If you try sort of train him saying what to say and what not to say, he'll probably be saying these things behind closed doors. So
But if you
is
take that,
really gonna
no, but
change. But really, you want the person to really change their views if they believe that what they're saying is incorrect. Now,
what he said wasn't actually anything to do with. He didn't actually. He said things on the topics. Like he didn't actually say, you know, oh, kill people that are gay. Like, he didn't say things like that. He just said people sucking D in the parking. If you're not sucking D in the parking lot, put your lighters up. So he's saying if you are doing it, don't put your lighters up. But he's not saying I don't like you. You get what I mean? He's not saying I hate you or you're horrible people. He's just, like you said, hyping the crowd up. But my thing is, if he was sitting down on a talk show and they were saying, so, you know, well, how do you feel about people that are doing those things? And he elaborated and he said, I don't like that. Then I can, you know, then you can see, okay, why does he feel that way? But because he just shouted all these random things up on the stage, it's like, you don't really know what, you can only take the negative from it. You don't really know, you just like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
Where is, because he could have
Yeah.
said anything. He could even said, if you're not sleeping with someone in the parking lot, he could have said that. But he just chose to say those things. So it's
No,
like,
but-
I feel like,
You know, with these rappers, yeah, I feel like that some of them have like yeah, they do have conflict with each other, and we don't know every single person they have conflict. So it could be like, you know, him taking a shot at somebody else who they know that they're talking about him, but we don't know the who he's talking about. So it might have not even been like directed to like, you know, the gay community. Might have just been directed to that person to say, like, you know how people like to say, oh yeah, you're PUSSY, like, do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't think he doesn't like gay people. I personally don't think he's like, I don't think maybe he's just, I don't know.
Someone else who was making commentary about his comments reposted some of his one of his IG lives, and then they were saying how he was saying that his fans, he's got some fans that are gay or whatever, but they have money, so they wouldn't be doing it in the parking lot. Like they would be getting them a nice room in places and stuff. So it's like, so what are you? Are you homophobic? Are you classist? Are you cursing everyone that's poor because we don't have money to get the nice, you know, hotel room to go and do our hoeing? Like, what's your issue, the baby?
I don't think he's homophobic. I think he was literally just, like he said, hyping the crowd, saying things that he thought was appropriate. Like, he probably knows a lot of gay people that don't have HIV. He probably knows a lot of people that don't have HIV. So he's saying, if you ain't got it, and he just thought it was he's not funny. He probably thought it was just a thing to say. But in reality, he was understanding that behind what he's saying is going to be taken left field, mate. You can't be going on stage saying things like that.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't think he's homophobic though, and I don't think he's trying to. I think he was just saying things that he thought was okay to say, that he probably says to his friends as well. And he's probably got gay friends, and they probably brush joke about all these things. And to him, it was just something that he wanted to mention on stage, because he can't be that dumb.
No, but okay.
Yeah, but he did it. No, I mean,
if you could buy it, links. So the comments he was saying, it wasn't directed at gay people.
Yeah, he wasn't.
It was just generic comments. So
because sucking D in the car park could be from a woman too, not just a man.
And
I think it was saying something about a guy doing it.
Oh yeah, he did. He
oh,
said
sorry.
It
says fellas,
yeah.
if you ain't in the parking lot. So yes, that is directed at gay, that comment there. But the part where he said that if you didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, or any of them deadly sexual transmitted diseases, now that's not directed at gay people. Yes, that's just directed at people in general. If he just said that comment and didn't say the sucking D in the parking lot, would everybody be up in arms still?
But we have to
Right.
take into account the historical context, because remember when like AIDS and HIV came out, like it was marketed as, you know, it was put out as being the gay disease. You can't like completely separate it.
Nick?
For me, he would still be cancelled, and I just think it's because of who he is. Whenever something like this happens, I always cast my mind back to when Justin Bieber was singing that racist song about catching N-words, and the white girl beside him said, "Don't sing it." So it means he sang it multiple times. She knew what he was about to sing. Like,
What was this?
bro, Justin Bieber, you can probably YouTube it. Not too long ago, probably about 5-6 years ago, was caught singing the most racist thing about black people, like using the N-word, joking about it. He changed the nursery rhyme and put the derogatory term for black people in there. But no one cancelled Bieber. Usher came out to defend him. Ludacris came out to defend him. All these people came out to defend him, and I'm like, oh, okay,
That's bad.
yeah, but like, let him say something about a gay person or whatever, and that's it. Innit?
Bieber's
Like,
trying to protect the bag, man. Bieber, I want to stay.
But you know what? Just like what you said,
yeah.
just like what you said about the baby, and like, you know, he can say things about like gay people and he needs to be kind of like educated. Like maybe because I go on social media and I see like the type of relationship Justin Bieber has like with people like Chris Brown and like, you know, just other people, other black people. And maybe it was just like because he's around those people, it's fine for him to do, but like because they know him, they're gonna back him even though they're black. But maybe it's just about being educated on it, because some people are so biased they can't even see what they're doing is wrong because that's their normal. Like that's just their everyday.
Yeah, when we finish, you need to look up what he was singing because you'll be like, whoa.
I'll YouTube it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
So-
it's on YouTube, blatantly removed it, but you'll find it.
Oh.
Okay, so what do you think about when they cancelled Nick Cannon?
For what?
Now,
What did they cancel him for?
so
Before
Remember-
that Twitch comment.
yeah, so apparently he made some anti-Semitic comments. Yeah. So
Oh, but Jewish Jews. So yeah.
I'll read you what he said. Yeah.
I don't. You know what? These people are the untouchables. I don't even like. Do your thing.
Lance is like, don't find it, bro. Leave that one alone.
No.
He said that
I think it's
black people were the original Hebrews. Like,
But they are,
Yes.
aren't they?
do you know what? Let me just.
I want to find his precise comments
You
that he
put the
said.
sign in my
But
mouth.
the issue is not just about him saying about the black being the original Hebrews. It's some of the terms and words he used, which to me, if he didn't say those bits, I think he might have been okay. He and Professor Griff said that black people are the true Hebrews and that Jews have usurped their identity. Then Cannon said, when we are the same people who they want to be, that's our birthright. We are the true Hebrews. The rapper then discussed skin color and claimed that people without darker skin live in fear. This is what he said in quotes. And I'm going to say this carefully, he begins, to allege that people who lack sufficient melanin are a little less. Those without dark skin have a deficiency that historically forced them to act out of fear and commit acts of violence to survive, he said. That they had to be savages. Yeah. Nick said, adding that he was referring to Jewish people, white people, Europeans, among others. So that was his comments. So
Okay, so here's where I'm going to tread very carefully. Yeah, if he had worded that differently,
yes.
I don't think there would have been any issue with what he has said. But because he's from a certain class and he wasn't eloquent enough to word that differently, because historically what he's saying is there is a certain demographic on the planet that has historically been welcomed into every nation on the planet and has, despite being welcomed in, conquered, raped, enslaved, pillaged, and owned. Like, there's only one demographic on the planet that has done that. Like, they haven't been welcomed with guns and bullets every time. They've been welcoming and still taken things, innit? To compare that to David Starkey, the BBC historian, yeah, who quoted Enoch Powell's Rivers of Blood speech and said that black people are responsible for white people talking with a certain slang and patois now. He still teaches at Oxford and everything. I think he only got fired last year or the year before, but he's been allowed to represent the BBC and say these outlandish comments for years, like, and no one says anything. But the moment you come out and say something and you say the Untouchables word, that's why I'm not saying it. You're finished, bro. Because not too long after that is when Wiley said his thing, right? And Wiley's still cancelled. Like, Wiley got removed off all platforms simultaneously, and I've never seen that before in my life. Like, and it's all because he mentioned them, innit? And you just need to. And in that same week, Kanye West mentioned how he's being treated by certain people of that community. And I'm just like, someone who's eloquent enough needs to come forward and sit down with certain members of that community, and we have a serious discussion about what's going on. But so far, I don't think anyone's educated enough to do so without being labelled as anti-Semitic, unfortunately, or whatever.
I disagree when you said that you don't think anyone is eloquent enough so far. I personally think that if you mention anything which is against them, it is labelled anti-Semitic. Though I agree that some of his words which he chose to use were inappropriate and could be deemed as being offensive. So that part of it I get. So if he didn't say, a few of those words, no one could really argue with him, or have a case to sort of cancel him. But because he put certain words, in line with other races, like, savages. Now, come on, that straight away is going to be offensive. So,
bro, again, I wish you could put a picture up for all of us to and play a video, because if you compare it to what David Starkey said, yeah, this was during the London riots. The stuff David Starkey said, I couldn't believe he was on the BBC saying this and getting away with it. Like quoting Enoch Powell, who was the Conservative MP, who did the Keep Britain White campaign. So when our grandparents or whoever were coming over on the Windrush, he did a campaign. Bro, this is 1960s, 1970s. He was so racist, the Conservative Party at the time kicked him out. They're like, bro, you can't be saying these things. And like, then he started his own like UKIP-ish type party, which got a big following, and he did this march, Keep Britain White. You can Google the pictures. And Enoch Powell said, I'll quote some of him, that if the white man doesn't get things under control, the black man will control the whip, is what he said, right? And he said something about rivers running red with blood. You get intermixing of breeding, black and white people. He was like, the white man needs to keep control. He also said something, basically, he was so good at what he did that it forced, I think, the Labour government or Conservative government at the time to introduce a law whereby if your parents weren't born here, you couldn't be considered British, right? This is how the Windrush thing affects us today, innit? Because obviously our grandparents came over on the Windrush, so it was highly unlikely that your parents were going to be born there, which allowed them to deport you at a later date, which recently happened because of Enoch Powell here. And for David to be quoting him, I'm like, you are the most disrespectful. But again, me, if I said that about a person, it's finished.
Do you guys recall when the government put leaflets in chicken shops about anti-knife crime?
No, I didn't.
I said, I think I remember hearing about it.
Yes. So it's like they do things and there's no consequences, whereas I guarantee if we done something like that and put it in these kosher shops, they'd be uproar. But for them, to put it into chicken shops, because obviously, the stereotypes, but there's no consequences. So
But they're wrong because they're the more, we're the lesser.
Yeah, but okay,
Who's gonna fight them?
Okay, let's talk about it. Now, the gay people are the minority, aren't they?
But they have a bigger stance. A lot of black people will just fall and fold.
Or then
No,
maybe
I think
they get money talk. They rather make money and do a little something.
Yeah, going on. Like the in regards to them putting the leaflets in the chicken shop, like I can see where their mindset is. Oh, like who's doing that? It's black boys, isn't it? Yeah, black people like chicken. Yeah, that's what Boris is thinking. It's blue by chicken.
Not in that way.
We're getting Nando's.
Yeah, let's just put
It's like there's a lot of young people in chicken shops. I don't know.
That's what he's thinking, isn't it? Like, but it's because you've never sat down to try and learn the thing. And by thing I mean black people. And why would you? Because you've always been top of the food chain. So why would you want to educate yourself about something that's beneath you, right? From their perspective. In regards to what Shayla said about black people folding, I think historically, because I wrestle with this, that black people just always ask for the lowest common denominator, innit? Like, gay people ask for equal rights. We want to be seen as equal to you. And the world is like, okay. And then I've cast my mind back to like 1964, and black people were like, can you just be nice? Civil rights, innit? We're just saying, can you be civil? We don't want equal rights yet. We're saying, can you just be nice to us? And the world's like, nah, we're going to fight you tooth and nail for this. Like, and I'm just like, what's going on? Do you get me? At some point, you're just going to be like, you know what? Do your thing. I think I said this to you before, Nelsie. Like, at some point during all of our days or all of our weeks, someone will say something racist and we'll hear it and we'll just ignore it. Like, we'll just it'll just be like, oh, you know, whatever. And it's only once it crosses a certain line that we address it. And as you said, Shayla, then we're seen as being aggressive, innit? But you don't realise how many times this week I've ignored your dumb like.
Exactly. That's why it's built up anger. And they don't see that, but they just see it as, oh, look at these aggressive people. But because you keep thinking these things are okay, even it's all around us. They be racist all around us. Yeah, but they just talk off the bat. It's just a joke, and they don't want to have. And the thing is, as well, I feel like no matter how much we try to push and let them understand about what they're doing, they don't. From watching programs that I watch, I watch this program called The Real Housewives of what is it? It's New York, right? They talk. There's a one black girl on there now, and she's come on there and she's been talking a lot about black culture because obviously the whole cast was white. She's the only white black girl on there. I'm telling you, from watching that show, it made me understand and see the different types of white people that don't want to talk about racism. There's different types of them. And there was one woman, she's like, why does it always have to be about color? Why does it always have to be about color? Like, color, I don't see color. But then it's like, okay, well, that's a part of the problem because you see me as a nice person. You see me as a mother. You see me as, your colleague. But then you don't see color. So that's the only thing you don't see me as. Does that make any sense? That doesn't make any sense. And they don't want to talk about it because it makes them uncomfortable. They feel like you should educate them about how they can stop being racist. They don't want to educate themselves on how they can stop being racist. They want you to teach them. And that's where it comes from. And it's uncomfortable conversations that they don't want to have. So I feel like even with the parliament, the government putting things in the chicken shop, they don't want to get educated. Before someone in their team goes and educates them, or even one of the black members that are in there goes and tells them, they're not going to do that. And I just feel like that's the problem. And I feel like we're in a country anyway that are not for us, really, they're against us. Because if they were for us, there'll be so much more things. It'll be for you to have to, like, even certain things about on like when you go to apply for jobs, and it says that they don't disclose, all the information that they ask at the end, like what age group you belong to. Are you homophobic or not? Are you heterosexual? Or are you? They say they don't disclose that. Are you black or white? Why is it there? Why is it there? Please tell me who is looking at this. Then it shouldn't matter. Like, I just feel like all of these things. I don't know how it's going to change, but I just feel like it's all racism and systematic racism is always going to be there. They're not going to want to educate themselves enough. There's always going to be someone in charge that feels that they're in tune with the people, but they're not really in tune with the people. Before they get someone that's off the streets, that's educated to the point where they're able to then run the country, then maybe people might think there's a change coming. But you're putting people that have been to private schools, never missed a meal in a day in their life, never had to struggle, and putting them in charge and then telling them to, putting a good idea to put those leaflets in chicken shops. What are you talking about? educate everybody, not just one person. So that one person that sees that leaflet that could be standing, I don't even know, in a hotel, could say to a young person, don't do this because of this reason. They educate everybody, not just the demographic that you think needs to affect here. I think it's just nonsense, man.
But
Nonsense.
I would say that the demographic in London is not really a reflection of the whole country. So knife crime might be higher in London, but if you go outside London, there's more white people stabbing each other than there are black people stabbing each other.
Exactly.
So that's where I feel that the people who orchestrated those leaflets knew what they were doing.
They wouldn't put a Palestinian leaflet in any Jewish shop, like, or anything that's going to ruffle any of those two feathers in it. They know, like, to tread careful around those two. But when it's, as Shayla said, when it's asked, you just don't care. Like, what are we going to do? As Liz said, we don't have the brawn. What are you going to do? You're going to complain and then forget about it.
It kind of reminds me of, you know, like when slavery ended in America, and a lot of the slaves, even though slavery ended, they went and worked for the slave owners.
Because what other choice did they have at that point? Like, they've been disenfranchised for so much, from all the government programs that gave out free land, and become a farmer, and all of this stuff. They were disenfranchised for that. So literally, that's all that they had.
Yeah,
Let me tell you,
That's all they had at that time. Like, and then when you had pockets of communities that you know, black communities that actually grouped together and created communities that were thriving, then you have
burn it down.
Tulsa. Yeah, they come and drop bombs and kill off everybody.
Because black
Oh, you're not flourishing, are you?
Right.
Oh no, you're not allowed to flourish. Just wipe everybody out. Then things burn.
No, because we're too nice. I'm sorry, like they will literally rob us. But when there's someone chasing them down the road trying to kill them, we'll let them in our house. I'm sorry, but wait, why are we so nice? Even though we are facing,
because we nice people.
These problems that they give
Everybody
us,
loves us.
Still so forgiving and so nice to them. They could literally like trample on us, and we will still give them loaf of bread. Listen, I really don't understand. And we're basically helping their white privilege. We're basically helping them because at the end of the day, we're working for them. We're not in football, like when they were doing the same thing. They were cussing out when they didn't score. They were all nice before they scored. After they scored, didn't score, they were being racist. But then, we're still playing for them, you know, giving them what they want. We're too nice. I'm sorry.
So in regards to Lydia's previous point, there were lots of black people back just after slavery who actually went and bought land, and they actually owned land and also owned properties and businesses back then as well.
I know, that's what I was agreeing with you, but also those ones that ended up in the position that they were is because their opportunities were not there. They were not the class that had the funds to go and group together and buy. They were the bottom of the bottom. So that's you know, they.
Yeah. A majority of those black people who did that, got their things taken from them, though, like Black Wall Street and everything. It was deemed as, for some reason, being illegal, or they didn't have the proper paper, or whatever the reason. They couldn't
find a reason. Or they'll
and those black communities that were doing well, they then gave them drugs. So please, man.
You've got to remember as well, a lot of black people at that point had only ever known slavery for 300 years. And Abraham Lincoln, although he did the Emancipation Proclamation, he made it illegal for you not to have a job. So a lot of white slave owners didn't tell the black people they were free, so they just stayed in bondage, not knowing they were actually free. Other people who did know they were free were like, okay, I need a job bad. I'm just going to stay picking cotton on the field, but I'm going to get paid way less than my white counterparts now, and it's not slavery anymore because now I'm being paid. And the others who did leave soon realized that you can't go into a workplace because it's still illegal for you to be educated. So you can't read, you can't write, you can't vote. So what are you really going to do in an office? Get back to picking cotton. It was a catch-22, but people say it. Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, he freed the slaves. I'm like, what a great guy. Guy. My hero, employer of the year.
Okay, so it looks like we're all warmed up of the current affairs. So we're going to move on swiftly to our main topic, which is the haves and the have-nots. So, in regards to the median household income in the UK, what do you think that is, Lily?
Maybe 20, 21.
Okay, same question to Links.
What, the average household income?
Yeah.
Wage? Last time I checked, which was about 4 or 5 years ago, it was 25. Around that figure, 24, 25.
Okay, Shayla.
60,000.
Okay, and last one is
I was thinking a little higher because I'm thinking of like a two-parent household where 2 people are working, but I don't know if yeah, I'll probably say around the 25k, around 24, 25k.
Yeah, if it's 2 parent, I'll say 24, 25. If it's 1, then
so it's 29,900. Yes,
okay. That's 2 parent.
That's well, I wouldn't say so. The reason I wouldn't say so, it depends on where you live. So
Yeah.
if you're living in London
Bro,
and you're paying
in London, you would need in excess of 60 grand to live comfortably in London.
exactly, and that's why I said 29. 30 grand is not a lot of money in London. And even if you go out to the home counties, that's still not enough. So the next question is going to be, what do you think the average UK household spend is?
Yeah, monthly. Yeah.
Monthly.
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't.
1,002.
I'm going to say 3.5 grand.
Okay. Lily?
Oh, but I don't know because I don't.
Yeah, I would say 1,400 maybe.
Okay, Liz?
Maybe 2k.
So Shayla?
Maybe 2k, like 1
He
5.
said, he said first.
I was gonna.
I want to win.
So they reckon it's 2.5k a month. Yeah. So if you work out 2.5k, a month times by 12, you already see that, what have you got left? Yeah. So
Country makes me sick.
in regards to
Sorry, I don't want to be deported.
Sorry?
I missed that and it was good. I see Lindsay's face.
Gosh.
She don't want to be deported. She said, this country makes me sick. And she went, sorry, I don't want to be deported.
Oh my god. But okay, so what's your view? So if you cannot afford to live in London, do you think you should move out? Lily?
Well, do you know what? That's on you. That's your finances. But I've always advised people, like people even who weren't born in this country, like they love to just, they got a job in London and I asked them, where do they live? Oh, I walked to work 10-15 minutes away. I'm like, why don't you just go to go to London, but maybe find a house in like Elephant and Castle to rent or Streatham, like 30 minutes is too far. I'm like, for me, that's like just, that's better than anything because I traveled so far just to get in. So I feel like some people just want the lifestyle, that London whole fast paced, that London whole upscale. Like I feel like people just want the lifestyle. So I feel like it's down to them really. So yeah.
So do you agree, Liz? If you can't afford it, you should move out?
Well, yeah, it kind of depends on what your priorities are in life. Like, if you're looking to elevate to the level that you can now afford living in London, then stay, apply yourself, and see if it works out. But if you're gonna stay and you know that you can't really aspire to it, you're just gonna be on the side of the road looking which next man you can jack for whatever, so that you can hustle in the streets. Like, what's the point? just you know, create another statistic for them to say, you know, about our community. Yeah, but thinking practically, if you can't afford it, then go where you can afford and thrive and come visit and give London some money when you come to visit, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Links? If you can't afford it, you should move out.
Hell no. Like,
Gentrification.
yeah, no, it's like, Melzy, do you remember where your grandma used to live, right?
Yeah.
Right? And have you seen what it looks like over the last decade or whatever?
I have not seen. Actually, yes, I have. Actually, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I remember where your grandmum used to live, right? Because we'd walk past there on our way home from secondary school. And then a few years ago, my friend bought a house in Greenwich. I was there, and there was middle-class white people there. And they were like, "Oh, yes, so-and-so tells us you live in Peckham. We live in Peckham now." I'm like, "You live in Peckham?" They're like, "Yes, it's a fabulous place, marvellous. Like, rooftop gardens and all that, yeah." And I'm like, "You live in Peckham?" Like, yeah. So I rode through Peckham deliberately on my way home, yeah, bro. Different place now, innit? Like, this winds me up because my nan's Antiguan, yeah, on my mum's side, and it's the same thing happens there. So you get a lot of British people go there, white people, buy up land, and then tell the locals you can't live there anymore. And then it becomes too expensive to the point where probably all of us would struggle to go visit Antigua, innit? And to tell my nan she can't go back to the house or land where she grew up in winds me up. And they're just doing the same thing here. They're just not being as blatant about it. So you price people out of the areas they grew up in, right? And in Crystal Palace, this happened a few years ago, where they bought people's houses from them, knocked them down, built new houses. So the people wanted to move back in, only that they couldn't afford to. Like, so you gave me less than my market value for my house, said I could move back in, but it's like, our market value's gone up, you now can't afford to live here, go live somewhere else. And it just spreads out. Milton Keynes, yeah, bro, used to be a cheap place to live. Not no more. Like, because I was looking to move to Milton Keynes. I would now struggle to probably find a house in Milton Keynes. Like, and as you know, I don't earn small money like Nelsie. So I have to go further. What's further than Milton Keynes? Northampton. Like, and then it's going to hit Northampton and then I have to go further out. Birmingham. To the point where I'm living in Scotland. Like, I'm living in Scotland, traveling into London, and someone's just gonna say, "You know what, mate? You might as well just go home." Where to? I can't afford it. Like, it winds me up. It winds me up. Like,
the second I finished talking, I said, "Gentrification! It's true." Because when I left and when I came back after living in the States for the 6 years, I was like, "What? What is happening in the area I grew up in? Bare stuff changed." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, y'all been gentrified." Okay.
I walk out of Juliet's hair store in Peckham, yeah, say, "Oh, snap, I forgot my receipt." Turn around, it's a Starbucks. I'm like, "Wait, what?" And literally, like, leave, turn around, it's a different store, bro. It's heartbreaking, innit? And you should, but they do it deliberately. They price you out of an area. A part of me knows why they do it, right? Because there's so much crime going on in that. If you remember, we had the Damiola situation when we was in secondary school. A few of our friends' siblings were stabbed and killed. And that estate, North Peckham estate, was so violent that they're just like, let's just knock it down, move the people out, and just move a whole bunch of new people in it. And it works, to be fair to them. Yeah, it works. Like,
oh, wait, I don't understand. They're moving them on the outskirts. So what's going to happen on that? Are the people going to be notorious?
And it keeps going further out. Well, I said we'll just end up in Scotland.
So, in regards to those people who are moving out, now, how many of them do you think are on benefits or social security?
It all have to be because they're moving out.
Yeah, if you house, it's a different story.
Okay.
They move.
Paid for your house, can they?
No, didn't they move one of your didn't they move your grandmum to like Forest Hill or something? Like, I'm thinking of someone else. Because someone else I knew lived on that estate, and this is when I realised it was starting, because a few of my friends got moved to like Forest Hill, and I realised everyone was getting moved to Forest Hill. And I'm like, why is everyone getting moved to Forest Hill? And then I saw the estate started getting knocked down. And then it becomes like a kind of a sketchy place to live in it. So then they start moving them out further.
Yeah, they start to move a lot of people from like even from Peckham up to that Croydon, and then before then start to go downhill. So
Exactly.
in regards to people being on benefits, now, what is your view? Do you think that it's okay for someone to go on to benefits and be on there for the rest of their lives? This question is to Shayla.
It depends on the circumstances, I think. Only because there are many people that are on benefits. There are people that are disabled, people that have been injured from work, there are people that have been mentally unstable. It just depends on their reasoning. I think that people that just don't want to work,
so
just out here having babies instead, I think that's terrible.
So if you're a fully abled person and you've been on benefits for 10, 15 years, do you think that's okay?
No, because you're fully able. But then, do you know what? I don't think it's okay, yeah. But then, obviously, I don't know if I can really speak on this, because if I think about other like things in there, like, so, you know, some people, yeah, they go on benefits, yeah, because they just want to take back from what they, you know, some people, I don't want to say a race, but they just want to take back from what that was taken away from them. So that's their mentality on the whole thing. They just want to take all they can get from the government. Period. Like, that is it. But I think those people that are fully able to work, I think they should work. You should be an example. For one, those ones that are just having babies, yeah, thinking they should, because the more babies they have, the bigger property they get, the more things that they get. I think they should work, because you need to be a example to the children that you're raising. So I don't think anyone should be able to sit on benefits if they haven't got actual reason. I think they should help. Like, obviously, I'm a single mum. I think they should help single mothers, single parents as well, not just mothers, because there are men that are single, parents. They should help single parents. They should help people that are less fortunate into the way they want society to be. And when I say that, I mean they want society, how they've been growing us up is making people think that when you get older, you get married and you have a 2-parent household. I think that's what they're putting into people's minds, and saying that that's what they want people, kids to do when they grow up. I feel like they should help those that are the less fortunate. But then in saying that, again, it's kind of conflicting, because there's some people that actually go out there to have kids and just be on benefits. So it's like, you don't know who's genuine and who's not in it. Some people work on purpose. So
Lily, so if you want to buy a house, for example, in Norbury, so you work hard, for the last 10, 15 years to save up money to buy a house in Norbury, but you can't do so because obviously it's expensive, and you see lots of people who just living in Norbury on benefits. Would you feel a bit disheartened, upset?
What, that I can't afford a house in Norbury and they're on benefits and they get to move in?
And they're living in that area that you want to live in?
Will I feel upset? No.
Do you think then it's okay for people to basically live off benefits for their entire life?
Not if they're like fully capable to go to work. I don't feel like that's acceptable. But people are gonna do what they want to do, isn't it? As long as they get away with it, then that's all that matters for them.
Okay, so same question to Liz, but let me just state this. The social security system came into place in 1948 after the Second World War. That was obviously because there was a poverty. Obviously, they needed to obviously help out the people. It has moved on further, where it's gone from a point for people relying on it to help them to people now living on it. And now you can tell in regards to the debt which the country now holds. So do you feel that it's appropriate that people are allowed to have children upon children while being on benefits?
Okay, so I don't want to be on I don't want to be erring almost on the people hold views that if you don't have money then you shouldn't have the kids, blah blah blah, and that kind of thinking trickles onto, you know, the underlings of society don't really deserve the right to have children. It's not okay. But yeah, I mean, I was raised that if you can do something, do it. That's how I was raised. So I mean, also, and nuance, the social security net is supposed to be there to catch people who need it. And I think that there's a lot of structures in society that produce people who are wounded, whether emotionally, whether physically, whatever. And we can't just like dash them one side and say, well, then just be a beggar for the rest of your life. I don't know. So it's not like it's not a cut and dry answer for that one. I don't think it's right that people just literally, grow and think, well, I don't have to work. Like, I don't think that's cool. No.
So links. So can you see that link between the debt that the country has, because obviously we're having to fund the social security system? So the same like with the state pension, when the state pensions came into play in 1908, that state pension was only for people who were 70 and older. So people only lived up to the age of 60. Yeah. So there was only about 2% of the country that was actually claiming the state pension. Now you can see how things have moved on, and you can see how many people. Obviously, we spoke about pensions in the last episode, and you can see how the country is being crippled by debt, because obviously one, state pensions is one of them, the healthcare is another one, social security is another one. So all these services, unfortunately, our children, our grandchildren are going to have to pay for these. So the initial reason for why the social security came into play has now moved to another level where people, and rather than it now helping, it's becoming like a crutch. Because as we all know, if you just hand out money, that's not going to solve our problem, is it?
Yeah, but so, I don't. Go on. I was going to say, I don't blame these. I'm not going to talk about the extreme ends of the gradient of people who just don't want to work, can work, and just want to claim benefits. And I'm going to speak about what I believe is the majority of people who can work, but I've looked at their finances and says, well, it's better for me to go on benefits. So I knew a woman who I used to work with who was getting made redundant, and she was going to reapply for the position to carry on working. She had 2 kids, but then calculated that if she keeps the job, I think she would have to pay like £300-400 a week each for nursery fees. But if she got made redundant, she wouldn't have to pay that. So instantly she's better off, innit? And I'm just like, why is that the case? How is it a case that you're better off not working? There should never be a scenario where you're better off not working, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But that's the system that the UK has built, hasn't it? Like, black people have very conservative views. Although we may like vote left, not all of us, but our values are very conservative. Raise a family, stay married, get a job, do the right thing, right? But the situation financially we're put in means that we can't keep to those values. I saw a study that shows if you follow the underground zones, 1, 2, 3, 4, the further out you get, the higher poverty gets and the less your life expectancy is. You can map it by tube zones, innit? Like, how many of us live in zone 1? Like, yeah, I grew up on the cusp, zone 1 and 2, Old Kent Road. I don't know anyone who lives in zone 1. And as you said, to live in London is a joke. So I don't hate on anyone who claims benefits who doesn't have to, because I understand, innit? Bro, if it was me, I would, like, and I didn't have expensive taste, I would do it. Like, I would so do it. Right.
So this is where I disagree. Yes. So bear in mind, as working people, we're basically funding the state. Yes. So that scenario which you gave, I completely understand that scenario, and this is where I think the system is flawed. The same like how
that nursery, that scenario.
Sorry.
The mum who had 2 kids that I told about, talking about that scenario.
Yes. So I think the system is flawed for multiple different reasons. So one, I have to question, where is the dad? Yes. Now, obviously, if dad's dead, it's a different scenario altogether. But if the dad is alive, then he should be funding for those children. I don't care whether or not you hate the mom, whether or not you don't want to see the children. I don't care. That's your prerogative. But they should be forced to pay for the children. So the government are currently bringing out a law where they're going to confiscate people's passports if they don't pay their child support. Yeah. So if I had my way, it'd be worse than that, because I think that is ridiculous. How you've got lots of single mothers who are struggling. Some of it is their fault, some is not. Yeah, but the fact is that he should be helping to financially contribute towards that family which he created. And then
don't make sense.
Sorry?
If the guy sleeps with the woman but didn't want the baby, then he should be able to go back and not pay nothing.
I didn't say that.
Did you?
No, that wasn't me.
Okay.
That wasn't me.
I said that. But equally, all the single mums I know, the dad kind of their part-timing. Taking his passport wouldn't change anything because the dads ain't going on holidays.
New chick is flying them out. Link.
I said personally, that for me is not enough. I will go way past that point to the point where. Sorry?
No, but they have the capability, the technology to take, if they need be, to take it out. Okay, some of them are working, take it out of their wages, no?
Exactly.
Or find who they are and make
they can
pay.
Exactly.
So,
Garnish. They can garnish their wages.
Exactly. Why?
Sorry?
Unless, and if they're getting benefits, take it from their benefits. Like, I don't really understand.
Yeah, it's called an attachment of earnings. Like, so if you don't pay your council tax, this is the only time they invoke it. You notice your paycheck stopped, and you'll be like, "What is this?" And you'll be like, "Oh yeah, you didn't pay your council tax. We're taking it from your wages." That's the only time you really see the government do that, is for council tax.
See, now the fact that they'll put you in prison for not paying your TV license.
Man.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, not paying for your children is even worse.
Exactly.
So what I would do personally, if the person is on benefits, I would obviously make them have to do any public service, which will help reduce the cost of the public service. So which means then, whether or not it's cleaning the streets, cleaning with graffiti off the roads, whatever it is, because if you're fully able, you should be on benefits. And some people do it just to avoid making payments for their child. And then there are those who have children and can go out and have more children. So if you can't afford the first set, I'm sorry, you should be having more children. That to me doesn't make any sense.
You've got to tell them to get the two NHS.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But that's like me pushing my burden onto you four. And now you four have to go and obviously pay for my children. Why? Because I don't care about me having to work hard to pay for my children. So that's why now we've got the debt of the country is increasing.
Yeah, but they're teaching kids, in school the wrong information. That's where it leads from anyway as well. Home teaching and teaching the wrong information. You're teaching us about things that are not going to help us or benefit us when we're older. I honestly don't think they should be teaching in school that have teachings that matter. Being a single parent, impregnating kids, what happens when you do these things? Why are you teaching kids stupid things that are not going to help them? You're growing the next generation up. Maybe educate them on better things to understand life. It might help, every little helps. I just think it's just a lot of mess, man. It's just where the country's in a mess, and they know they can aid do things to make things better, but they don't want to, because why? They want to enslave some people that are gonna go for.
So, Lily, we spoke about episode in regards to the state pension age moving from 67 to 68. Now, if you think about the cost of having to fund the state pensions, think about millions of people living from 68 to maybe 75. Someone has to fund that somehow. So, which means then all the people who are under that age group has to be working in order for that to happen. So that's why my point in regards to people living on benefits and having multiple children while on benefit, for me, is immoral. So, Lily, Do you think that the government should do more to sort of try to tackle the problem?
Yeah, of course they should do more, because, you know, even though some people rather just stay at home and do nothing and get paid for doing nothing, there should still be some type of incentive or ambition, self-motivation that makes you want to work. And so I feel like there should be, I feel like personally that we don't need to get taxed that as much as we do. Like, even though you know, it may be like 40%, like I don't feel like we should get taxed that much, to be honest with you. I feel like there's a lot of money in this world to move around that will still come back to help other places, like on other things. So I just feel like that certain things should go down and certain things should come up.
They go down, public costs to pay for.
Yeah, because some things aren't being, I don't feel like certain things are being utilized effectively. Like, think about I don't know, for instance, when they're making, what was it again, Croydon Council that has gone over their budget or something like that. Yeah, and so just things like that, where I just feel like the council itself should be more responsible. And so you're thinking, where's that extra money going?
That's
towards what?
That's a local issue.
Yeah.
Whereas taxes are more of a national, a housing benefit point of view. Now, do you think that there should be a limit in regards to how many years you can be on housing benefit before you have to start to pay it back? Or
then what happens? But then what happens? Imagine it gets to the 6th year and then you still are in the same position. Are they going to throw you out, or what's going to happen? What's the other option? To live in a copy 1 bed with your 6 kids or 3 kids?
So, okay, Liz, a question to you. What is the solution?
I don't know what's the solution, mate. Do you know what? When you started talking about housing benefit, all that came into my mind, sorry, it's not the answer. It's not the answer to your question. I was on YouTube maybe a month, 2 months ago, and seeing these people in the temporary housing with like water coming in on them, mold, like all over the place, like their kids sleeping in one room and it's just unconscious. I can't even understand how a country as prosperous as this, that in the past sent all these people, all the goons all over the world to go rape, pillage, and so that they could enrich themselves, have the audacity to have people living in those conditions. I don't even care, like, even if you are the person that refuses to work, I don't think it's right for anyone to live in those circumstances and it be okay, especially when at the other end of the spectrum there's people you're filthy rich to the point that like not even your 20th, 30th generation could spend the entire amount of the wealth that you've amassed. I don't know. If I'm a bleeding heart liberal, then I'm a bleeding heart liberal, but it's just not right to me. I don't know.
When you say it's not right, are you saying that they lived in a council property and it wasn't maintained? Yeah,
like there's a lot of public. I used to work for a charity where basically they did support to try and intervene for children in early years, where they could see like their home situation is going to lead them into basically perpetuating the same, going into a life of poverty themselves, and then more of the social issues that come out of being in poverty is just going to keep going and going and going. And like you hear stories of single mothers with multiple children, like, and they put them in the top of these flats where there's no lift that functions and all of these things. And it's just, yeah, I'm just thinking about this one video I saw with the mother, like, how are you supposed to work if your mental state is impacted so much from the fact of you can't even keep your kids safe in the house, home, apartment that's all you've got, but it's full of mold. Like the two, you can't get yourself out of poverty if you're below a certain, living standard. It's I don't know. Don't ask me for the solution. I don't got the answer, Sway. I don't got it.
So, okay, links. Now, if a person has been living on house benefit for all their life, do you think that is right?
No, I don't think it's right. But again, I wouldn't blame them for doing so. Like, if I work, right, 9 to 5 or whatever, not including the commute to work, not including the commute home, and I'm tired and exhausted, and the person next door to me sits at home and can still afford the same things as me, guess which lifestyle I'm going to choose, bro? Like, I'm going to choose their lifestyle. Why? Again, if I didn't have expensive taste and I could afford the things I wanted by staying at home, believe I'm staying at home, innit? The solution is, in my opinion, because they've already introduced the housing benefit cap if you've got more than 2 kids, right? Yeah, so if you've got more than 2 kids now, you don't get benefits on the 3rd, 4th, and whatever else.
Oh, you're
rent caps, like allowing landlords, private landlords, charge. Yeah, allowing private landlords to charge whatever they want, like no matter how ridiculous it is stupid. Like, I think Holland, because as you know, I spent time growing up in Holland, they've got rent caps. You can't charge 3 times above market value if no one in that area is earning 3 times above market value wages. It's just nonsensical. So there's things you can do, but this country just doesn't want to do it. But I won't hate on anyone who decides not to work and just decides to rinse the system. I never used to be that way. When we was growing up, yeah, Nelsie, and I was in college, as you know, I got my own place and I was constantly being taken to court by like Southwark Council because they lied to me. I'm going to air them out on this podcast, innit? I'm going to air them out. I'm going to air the woman out as well. Hema Vasai. Look how old I am and I remember her name. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is how much it burned me because I was 16 and I read the tenancy agreement and it had an amount there of how much I had to pay a week. And I'm working part-time and I'm studying full-time. And I said to her, I can't afford this. My mum and girlfriend was in the room at the time. She's like, don't worry, you just pay the water rates and you can apply for housing benefit and that will cover it. I'm like, you sure? She's like, yeah, cool, signed it. Start getting letters through the door. We're taking you to court. We're trying to evict you. I get to court and the judge is like, oh, you can't get housing benefit because you're in full-time education. So then Southwark Council was saying to me, well, why don't you quit full-time education and just work full-time? Exactly, Shayla. Exactly, right? Tony Blair's mantra at the time was education. That was his slogan. But you're telling me, I said, but if I quit education, I could work more. She was like, exactly. So I'm like, so why did you tell me all I had to do was pay the water rates? The judge goes, well, it's not her job to know the benefit structure. So why did you advise me on that then? My next few years, yeah, was constantly me in and out of court, working nights, going to college, working weekends to try pay for the mistakes she misadvised me on, innit? It was so stressful. And I remember I got to court for the last time and the judge is like, oh, you have to pay back the debt, 50p a week on top of paying the rent, right? And there was a guy who came in after me, Somalian guy, could barely talk English. At least he said he could barely talk English, innit? Right? Yeah, bare kids with him. I remember this. This is when my whole thing changed about the benefit system, yeah? Couldn't understand the word the judge was saying. So he said, yeah? Judge is like, okay, Mr. Whatever, you can pay 20p a week towards your rent. He's like, thank you. Leaves. Ralph, I'm sitting at the bus stop, Camberwell Crown Court, yeah? My guy gets in a fresh Lexus IS200 X-Reg, yeah? Fresh, yeah? Smiles at me, drives off in it. And I'm like, my guy. I was vexed, yeah? I was vexed. I was, how old I am and I still remember this, yeah? But I was like, my guy, one of us is winning, you know? One of us is winning. I just wish it was me. Because then you hear people say these things, oh, those people on benefits with their flat screen TVs. And I'm like, wait, have you ever tried to buy any other TV that wasn't a flat screen? When was the last time you walked into Curry's and saw any TV that wasn't flat screen? What are you talking about? Like, that shows how in the untouched you are. Oh, then with their flat screen TVs, all flat TVs are flat screens now, bro. Like, doesn't mean it's a smart TV. Oh, they've got a Sky dish outside. Does it mean it's connected? Like, does it mean it's connected? Like, oh, but they're smoking cigarettes. So? Like, so? Money for yeah, do you get me? Like, you do things. I do things when I ain't got the money for it, but I want it, innit? I know I should go home and cook a meal, but sometimes I go past McDonald's, I say, yeah, I'm going to get a Big Mac. Like, do you get me? It's just weird mentality, bro.
I wholeheartedly disagree, yeah? The reason why I wholeheartedly disagree is because I think...
that guy, them with their flat screen TVs as you speed off of your beamer, innit?
No. It's not that, yeah? So, the reason why I disagree is because I've had to work hard. You know, it's that scenario. So, I know what it feels like to go without, not to have certain things, you know, has a struggle. I know all that lifestyle. So, you know, I never grew with no silver spoon in my mouth. So I know exactly what it... Sorry?
But cast your mind back to the struggle and the social mobility it took to get you from working class to middle class where you are now, right? Yeah. Remember that struggle, because I clearly remember it, right? I wouldn't wish that struggle on no one, because there was times when I felt I wouldn't make it. I haven't got kids. You've got kids when you're married, innit? If I had kids, bro, that struggle is then amplified, innit? Because there's people depending on me. I wouldn't wish that struggle on no one, is what I'm saying. And if they can find an easier way, and if it's staying on benefits, do you, innit? I'm not going to chastise you for it. Just because I struggled and I made it doesn't mean you should have to. Like, you've got your own life, and if that's what you want to do, I don't agree with it. You should set a good example to your kids. But at the same time, I remember that struggle, and I can understand if you don't want to entertain it, innit? That's what I'm saying.
The thing with humans, unless you sort of give them a way out or give them, you know, a chance to have to work, yeah. If you put anything in their hand and make it easy, no one's going to do nothing. So, and then we're going to complain that, you know, things are so expensive, you know, our taxes going up, the cost of everything. It's because of the burden of having to pay for all these scenarios. Now, prime example is child benefit. The government created a rule where they say that as long as one person in the home is earning less than 50 grand, then they can keep their child benefit. If you've got one person in that home who's earning over 50 grand, then they lose it. Even if you got two parents that are on 40 grand, and then you've got one single parent who's on 55 grand, the one on 55 grand will lose their benefits. Now, to me, how does that make any sense whatsoever?
Maybe they should tell. This is the thing. None of it makes sense, and the government are not as great as they like to come out to be. Because maybe to stop all of this poverty and people not working, maybe put a cap on how much people can earn, like how little they can earn. That would make sense. You know, people are going to get educated, but then they're not getting jobs. Maybe the ones who do get a job, or the job that they get, if you have a degree or master's, have a certain rate that you can earn. Why are you letting people have masters working thinking like, I don't even know, max something and getting paid 15k a year? Why don't you say, if you have a master's or degree, we reward them for educating themselves and pay them at a certain degree? Let people get paid a certain amount or a certain age or something. Do something like that. It doesn't make sense. They don't want anybody to sell. That's kind of nonsense. Oh, I don't like this topic. Is making me angry.
Unfortunately, we are now in a global market, so the cost of wages matters from a business standpoint. So if I know that for me to hire an accountant, it's going to cost me 50 grand, but then I can go to the Philippines and hire 10 accountants for 50 grand.
Then what
am I going to do as a business?
Make it illegal to hire anybody outside the country. I don't know. They need to do something. They have all this power and everybody, but they're not helping the people that live in their own country, and they want to be people out of they lost their mind, and then they're sitting there leaning back in their nice fancy cars and everything, that you listen. I would like, as a citizen of this country, yeah, this gets noted. I would like a breakdown of where my money is going. Thank you very much.
You can actually.
Breaking down.
Yeah, you can get it.
They tell you nothing. They just tell
No,
you.
you can.
How you in debt when I've been paying you the whole of my life? How?
So if you go to the Bank of England and also on the government's website, they will give you a breakdown of the debt and how much they're paying towards debt, how much they're refinancing the short-term debt, long-term debt.
Yeah, but
You'll be shocked.
You the money of the debt, but I'm not telling you where every penny is going. Where is all
That's what it is.
going?
That's what it is.
They don't tell you where every penny is going because.
Yeah, but if they did,
because
it add up. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't.
Yeah,
nothing.
Yeah, do you remember Theresa saying we have no money, the country's broke? Remember she kept saying that?
There's no fulfill of the money tree.
Yeah, and then she gave the DUP in Ireland like 15.5 billion, and I'm like, what happened to you having no money, Mrs. May? And then COVID hit, and they started finding a bag of money right when COVID hit, and I was just like, where did all this money come from?
So they haven't found the money.
Borrowing.
Is borrowing. So they keep borrowing, and all they're doing is piling debt on top of debt, and they're refinancing it every single year. So hence why they need a certain amount of revenue to come in order to pay off this short-term debt. You see? And all they're doing is buying and selling debt. Sorry?
Yeah. This is a whole new conversation because this topic winds me up where we're going into. So let's get back to the benefits.
The government winds me up to lead it on to what they take from us winds me up because you know what's funny, yeah? You want your money back. Do you want your money back, England? Maybe you should pay me more money and tax me like you've been taxing me. And then you get your money back. Pay me more money and tax me like you're taxing me. Because it don't make, it's not, it just infuriates me. Like, and you want to tell me that, oh yeah, go to uni, yeah, and sorry, but I should pay 9K to go to uni for you to teach me from a camera. Have I lost my mind? I can't.
Yeah, I think from a economy point of view, I think there's lots of different issues, but unfortunately, they have been allowed to get away with it for so long, which I'm surprised that people aren't been lobbying them to find out what on earth is going on, why the country's always in debt. If you check the budget, you'll see that we've always been in a deficit. The
country's in so much, but then the higher people are still getting paid. Maybe you shouldn't get paid, okay? Why are you getting paid when we're still in debt, huh? Why are you getting paid? I don't get it. When people are in debt, they don't pay people. Why you pay? You're in debt, you're getting paid. That don't make sense.
Okay.
It's for the country. Where are the bailiffs? They need to come and get them.
This is the last question before the show ends. So, Liz, how do we reduce this debt and what's the way forward?
Listen, I'm no economist. All I see is broken hearts everywhere. That's where you come to me for. Come to me for the comfort.
Oh, God.
No idea. No idea.
Okay.
Tell everyone, stop being a-holes, stop hurting each other, come together, love each other. Where's the money coming from? I don't know.
Peace and love, don't worry about the debt. Okay. Next.
Love pays all the bills.
So what's the way forward?
You picked the right man, right, Shay?
This is actually my boy, yeah, who studies economics, isn't it? This is why I say this gets me heated. Because the whole capitalism model, bro, to me doesn't work, innit? Like, it just doesn't work. You've tried it, it's failed. My thing sounds a lot like communism, but it's not. Everyone needs to work for the betterment of the country, not themselves, innit? Like, the moment you've got an individual trying to work for themselves, other people get crapped on, innit? If everyone worked for the betterment of the country, problem solved. So if doctors, nurses, and teachers were the highest paid, because they're the ones who educate and like help us with social mobility, problem solved. But when you got certain individuals thinking, oh, I can pay that person less and I can take home more profit, and then because I need to keep growing every year, like there's no glass ceiling, nothing keeps growing every year. And if I don't make that next year, I'll just make that person redundant so I can take home a bigger bonus. It's crazy, bro. Like, that's the problem. That's how you solve it. Everyone works for the benefit of everyone else.
What's the differentiation between communism and what you just described, Links?
Yes.
So capitalism basically is a system where
No, I know what capitalism is. You were saying your thing sounds like communism, but not quite. So I was asking, what's the differentiation between what you just described and communism?
So communism, the difference is like it tends to be led by a crazy dictator, innit? Like China with the CCP, Sterling, Russia, like historically, whenever you had communism, Castro, whenever you had communism, for whatever reason, the person who is enforcing it is not all there mentally. They're quite tapped. Like, so whilst everything should be for the betterment of the country, it only seems to be bettering that dictator, like that person in charge. Whereas my system, like, you remove that individual in it if you can, and everyone genuinely works for the betterment of the country, not because we all keep working and that one person starts living lavish. Like.
But isn't that?
So
isn't
everyone
that,
get paid
more
the
socialism?
same?
No, because people think it's Marxism or socialism.
Yeah, socialism.
Yeah, but it's not, because again, there is no model in the country that actually does that. Everyone always points just towards communism. Like Turkmenistan, for example, right? I think it's Turkmenistan. The guy running Turkmenistan shouldn't be running it. He was the last president's dentist, and they were close. The president died, so he became leader. He then changed the days of the week, I think it's Turkmenistan, to his mum, sisters, and auntie's name, and they all have to read from this book. And this book can dictate whether you pass your driver's test, whether you get a job. They can just ask you any chapter of the book. What does this chapter say? They all have to do this and they're all meant to be working for the betterment of the country. He built this tourist attraction, but no one's allowed in because he doesn't issue passports. That for whatever reason, I can't remember the exact reasons. What he's doing, is socialism. Like, it's so weird. We'd have to. Yeah, I know. We have to start another conversation, and but that's how I think you solve it. But it means a lot of rich people won't be rich anymore. I'm talking the 1%ers. They won't be rich. The moment you enforce that, they instantly end up like the rest of us, and that's why it will never happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jayla, last question to you. What's the way forward?
Sacking one of those people in the top. I think it needs to be reimagined. I think they need to put people in charge that can actually see what we want to see, what's actually in the bank, But I think if we do, probably be broke anyway. I think they need to stop financing what they're doing. It's just a mess. I don't think I feel like, think about it, because in Dubai, they don't tax you, do they? But look, they're thriving. So maybe what Link said is correct. They need to put people, the people that are working for the actual world, not the world he said, but those people that are working to help, they should be getting paid more. But those that are, that don't need to be getting paid like that shouldn't be. Like I said, Dubai is not getting taxed, but their country looks like this thriving. They have loads of tourism. They're getting money. I think their money's been put in the correct places. But for us to be sitting there financially in a mess, that means something's going wrong. It's like in some of the African countries, a lot of the governments are deemed to be corrupt. But you can tell, because if there's money going into the country and then your country looks a certain way, clearly something's not connecting. So I feel like for us to be in a financial big problem, something's not connecting. You're doing all these things to save money and to cut back on spending, but yet we're still broke. It don't make sense. So
Britain invests in Dubai. Did you know that, Shayla? So Britain gives Dubai money to build the infrastructure they have.
So what they get, they must be getting money back from it, but they're still broke. But
we get money back. I don't know in what way, but I know Britain invests heavily in Dubai.
Well, it doesn't make sense, because you're investing so much money, but yet we're still broke. And then you're, and then you're also, what did we come out of Brexit? We had to pay them this big money to come out. I would like to.
Yeah, no, we're paying it.
Yeah. Why are we so broke? I'm really confused.
Okay, so I think on one of our next episodes we'll probably discuss capitalism.
The topic should be why we still broke.
The topic should be why are we still here.
Why are we still here?
Why are we still here?
What's happening?
Government.
Variations, make me go back to Jamaica, where my parents did come from.
I wouldn't say that. The government over there.
Real quick.
Yeah, I know.
So,
You get to go home. You get to go home. You get to go home.
You get to go home. When you get there, though, that, oh no, but you can't live here, though. We bought the land. What do you mean? Like,
Yeah, the Chinese own it now.
exactly. Exactly. So, we have come to the end of the show. It's been great conversations as usual. Links, would you like to give out your socials?
website, iamlinks.com. That's LINXX. Instagram, the Links Effect. All one word.
Okay. Lids?
I am at Natural Love Song on IG and YouTube, where I haven't posted in forever, but yeah, on IG.
Okay, and Shayla?
I am ither.style on Instagram. ITHER.STYLE.
Okay, well, thanks for joining, everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode. We out.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.